Hi guys, this is vf.miniatures Warhammer Tactics series, and today I want to discuss the new rules for the T'au Railgun on the Hammerhead Gunship. When I saw the article first on the Warhammer community website, I was very happy because I was, and I am still, very passionate about the T'au Empire. It's my first army that I've started collecting ever since I was interested in Warhammer, and I really like the theme of the army. I like their style, their models, most of the model lineup. So I was very interested in what they have done to the main T'au battle tank. And they have changed it quite a lot. Let's first talk about the good stuff in this change, and then I would like to discuss what I think is not that great in what I see in these new rules. So the railgun is still one shot, it's still 72 inches of range, so very long range weapon. You can basically reach out and touch anything you like on the other edge of the board, even diagonally. It's now strength 14, and it was previously strength 10, so you can now wound basically anything that's not toughness 8 on 2s, so all the rhinos, all the typical Space Marine tanks, not the repulsors and gladiators, all the dreadnoughts except the ironclad, and so on. It has an astounding AP characteristic of -6. I know only 2 weapons in the whole game that can achieve AP -6. It's the Thundercoil Harpoon on the Knight Valiant and the Claws of the Broodlord when you roll a 6 to wound. I think the Broodlord has an AP of 6. So basically anything that's not 0-up save will have no save from this weapon. And the damage characteristic of this gun is also incredible. It's D3 plus 6, when previously it was just simply D6. So now you have gone from minimum of 1 damage to a minimum of 7 and maximum of 9. But the best thing about this weapon lies in its abilities. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, invulnerable saving throws cannot be made against that attack. It means that any target, anything, be it a Swarmlord with a 4-up in Van, or a Dreadnought protected by the Psychic Fortress Psychic Power with a 5-up in Van, or a Dread Knight, Grey Knight's Dread Knight with a 4-up in Van again, or 3-up in Van even with the Servant of the Throne ability. You will basically have no save against this weapon. And in addition to that, each time a successful wound is made for an attack with this weapon, the target suffers 3 mortal wounds in addition to any other damage. So this equals to an average of 8 damage from the main shot plus the 3 mortal wounds from the successful wound. So Dread Knight, for example, will suffer on average 11 wounds from this attack, and the Dread Knight will have no way, even in cover with 2-up save, will have no way of saving himself, even on a roll of 6+. And in addition to that, all the Hammerheads have this new rule that's called Targeting Array that allows to reroll 1 hit roll for the attacks made by this model. So you will basically save this reroll for the main railgun shot, and it will be very hard for you to miss your target, especially with the new marker light rules that will probably allow the Hammerheads to hit on 2s. They previously had ballistic skill 3+ in the T'au Codex, so I'm pretty sure that there will be some way in the new book to bump it up to 2+ to hit. And previously you had a choice between a powerful shot, as it was meant to be, and the sub-munitions mode that allowed you to shoot like D6, I think, shots at strength 6 with some AP and damage 1. It wasn't good either, but it was like a way for you to target smaller targets relatively effectively. Now, in the style of all the new codexes, this ability was turned into a stratagem, and it's a very good stratagem. You can use it on your Hammerhead for 1 command point, and you will be able to choose a unit within 36 inches of your Hammerhead and not within engagement range of any units, and visible, of course. And roll 1d6 for each model in that unit, adding 1 to that roll if the unit has 11 or more models, and for each 4+, the unit will suffer 1 mortal wound. So if it's a unit of 10 Terminators, for example, it's 5 mortal wounds on average from 1 tank, which is obviously not bad. I'm not sure if it's better than shooting the main gun, because you will be able to kill 2 Terminators with this weapon, one from the mortal wounds, there's 3 mortal wounds that the target suffers in addition to all the damage, and one from the shot itself. But if you are targeting, for example, a unit of 10 Lich Guard with their shields, of course the sub-munitions will be a better choice because less damage would be wasted on a single model. So what do I think is great about this change? Well, the Hammerhead was a bad tank. It had no protection from the incoming damage because you couldn't use the drones to intercept the hits that targeted the Hammerhead. And it had a very bad weapon that couldn't even kill a single tank, even if you are lucky. So it was worse than, say, a Doomsday Cannon that has the potential of a lot of shots and a lot of damage. It's only a potential. That's why I don't like the Doomsday weapons on the Necrons, the Doomsday Blaster and the Doomsday Cannon on the Doomsday Arc. But the Railgun was even worse. Now it's objectively tenfold better. And don't get me wrong, the Railgun really needed the upgrade. It was a very bad platform and a very bad weapon, and it should be great. It should be a devastating weapon that can kill a dreadnought, a tank can kill. I'm not talking about an automatic kill or something that is most likely guaranteed. I'm just saying that it should be able to do that, and it was not able to do that previously. So the upgrade for the Railgun means that it will be used more often. We still don't know what is the datasheet for the Hammerhead gunship itself, if it's any better in terms of its defensive capabilities, and what is the main thing is what is the price of the Hammerhead gunship. Because with this weapon, I think the price will go up substantially. And that's where we start to move into the bad side of things. First of all, I don't like the rules that allow models to ignore invulnerable saves. All those rules, they basically do a strange thing to the whole invulnerable save thing, because invulnerable save, as the name suggests, should be invulnerable. It shouldn't be modified, and it obviously shouldn't be ignored. And we already have a thing called Mortal Wounds that ignores the invulnerable saves, and I don't think we needed another layer of rules on top of that. It's very strange, and I think it complicates the game and does something that shouldn't be around in the current version of Warhammer 40k. In conjunction with a weapon like that, with strength 14 AP 6, so again, no saves even if you have a very, very, very good armor save, and with damage that's more than, for example, the wounds characteristic of a typical little dreadnought, or it's even possible for this weapon to kill a Plague Burst crawler on full wounds in a single volley. With a weapon like that, ignoring invulnerable save is a menace. There are a lot of targets that cost a lot of points, and their only protection from the dangers of the Warhammer 40k is their invulnerable saves, like the Dread Knights that cost a lot of points, especially the Grandmaster, like the Swarmlord, like the Telemon Dreadnought from the Adeptus Custodes, or even their Heavy Graph Carrier from the Forge World book. And this weapon just defies all that. The T'au say, well, we don't care about your warp energies, your shields, anything like that. We just stick a very big gun to our tank and we will destroy anything that we want. So Games Workshop have basically made a little extra step towards making the Railgun good, and they've actually made it a little bit too good. It would be okay if the Railgun had strength 14, AP 6, damage D3 plus 6, and this rule that allows it to do 3 mortal wounds to the target in addition to all the damage. So this 3 mortal wounds on a successful wound would be your protection from the highly protected targets with the invulnerable save. But ignoring the invulnerable save altogether, I think that's a little bit too much. I think it would be okay if it was on a wound roll of 6, so if it's a very lucky shot, it ignores invulnerable saves. Then it would be a very cool and thematic rule. But now I think all it will do is it will force Games Workshop to make the Hammerhead a very expensive tank. It will force probably them to leave this tank very defenseless, so it would be pretty easy to kill it. Then it will force the meta to adapt, so we will see even more and more, especially if the T'au players start using the Hammerheads often, we will see more and more armies with a lot of multi-wound, small, powerful models that fight in close combat well, which is obviously something that is already present in the meta, and all the shooting power will probably move from the tanks and dreadnoughts and monsters, in the case of the armies that don't have dreadnoughts and tanks, will move to the infantry units, to stuff that is not that efficient to be targeted with this railgun. And again, I don't think that ignoring invulnerable saves is a great mechanic all in all, but when it happens in melee, it's much better than when it happens in shooting, because melee is a very hard state to get into. You need to cross the board, you need to charge, you need to sustain Overwatch, you need to fight first, and there are some ways to make the targets fight last. So even Bellacore or even Nightbringer, there is a possibility of them not striking first. When we're talking about a tank that has 72 inches of range, it's obvious that it will be practically impossible for you to protect your assets, your tanks or anything, if you want to use them, of course. You can leave your tanks behind the obscuring terrain, but I don't think that it's an efficient way of playing. So ignoring the invulnerable saves is not a great thing for the game when we already have the mortal wounds, and ignoring the invulnerable saves in shooting is even worse than in melee. So from one point of view, I'm really happy for the T'au, and I'm happy that the Hammerheads are not useless anymore. But from other point of view, I don't think that this was a wise choice from the Games Workshop. So that's it, guys. My little rant about the new T'au Railgun is over. It's very unusual for videos on this channel, but I wanted to express all of my feelings about these new rules. Please let me know in the comments below what you think about this new fearsome weapon of the T'au Empire, and I'll see you next time.